you guys, and welcome back to my channel. It has been a little while. If you haven't seen my last video, you won't know. I am pregnant. At the time of filming this, I am 15 weeks pregnant, and I just thought it would be nice to do a bit of a first trimester roundup. But I want to start this video with a bit of a disclaimer, because I know that early pregnancy and trying to conceive can be a bit of a minefield and can be really difficult. So if this video is not for you, I won't take it personally. Please, if it is better for you and where your head's at to not watch this video, then please look after yourself first. We have had our own difficulties to get to this point, which I will probably share in the future. And there was a time when that disclaimer applied to me, so I won't take it personally if you choose not to watch this video. Please always put yourself first. So yes, I am now 15 weeks pregnant, and that's crazy. That seems, in some ways, it seems like the first trimester went on forever, and in other ways, I can't believe that we've got to 15 weeks already. That's insane. So yeah, firmly in the second trimester now, and wanted to do a bit of a roundup for anyone who's interested, really. I found watching other people's first trimester videos really interesting when I first found out I was pregnant, and yeah, so I wanted to share my experience. I also think it's really important to share experiences that maybe aren't as positive, just to keep everything a bit real. For me, the first trimester has been really tough. But yeah, I've kept a little record on one of the many pregnancy apps that I've got on my phone, and so I have made myself some notes, and I just wanted to kind of go through it because the first trimester is such an unpredictable beast, and I think every woman experiences it slightly differently. I did try to vlog. So this was the other thing, is that I did try to vlog the first trimester, and I think I have like 2 little clips of footage which I might use in a video in the future, but yeah, I didn't end up being able to film anything further on than that point, because my sickness was terrible, and that is not me being dramatic. That is, if anything, an understatement. So anyway, first trimester, I've written myself some notes. So the first few weeks, actually, I found out I was pregnant at what was, by my dates, 3 weeks and 4 days. So quite early. In my previous video, you will have seen the clip of me finding out I was pregnant. If you haven't, I will link the video up here somewhere. And we were both so excited. I couldn't wait to tell Matt at all. I literally came straight downstairs in tears and told him straight away. So but that I didn't film, because I think that's a really special moment just for us, and I didn't want to have to think about anything else. So yeah, came straight down and told Matt, and that was 3 weeks and 4 days by my dates. But since I've had my 12-week scan, I'm actually 4 days ahead of what my dates say, so that would have been 4 weeks and 1, I think. Anyway, so from 4 to 6 weeks, I mostly felt a huge amount of anxiety, which I will explain in a future video, because it's something I want to talk about in a bit more detail than just kind of in passing in this video. So I will explain a bit more about that in the future. But yeah, huge amounts of anxiety, kind of trying not to get my hopes up, but also being excited. It's a very difficult balance. So yeah, huge amounts of anxiety. I also felt quite a bit of cramping, which didn't help with the anxiety. Yeah, so quite a lot of like period type cramps. My boobs were really sore. What else? Shortness of breath, and quite a lot of bloating, particularly towards the end of the day. So yeah, that was kind of 4 to 6 weeks. Just before I hit 6 weeks, it was 5 weeks, about 5.5 weeks, I started feeling queasy. And initially, I didn't really think it counted as morning sickness. I kind of just thought it was a bit of kind of feeling a bit queasy, and then it went away by itself over the course of the day, and that was fine. And then as it gradually got worse quite quickly, I realised it was morning sickness. It wasn't just kind of like a refluxy feeling or mild queasy. It was the start of morning sickness. And then it hit me pretty hard. So this was just before Christmas. I started vomiting, and I, pretty much didn't stop for probably 7 weeks. So yeah, about 6 weeks, just before 6 weeks, I started vomiting, which meant that Christmas Day, it was very hard to hide the pregnancy from families, both my side and Matt's side when we saw them over Christmas, because I was quite regularly disappearing off to the loo to throw up. I'm amazed we managed to hide it from our families, to be honest. At that point, the vomiting started, which kind of alleviated some of my anxiety, but then at the same time, my boobs stopped hurting as much, and I found that really scary. I think you want to have all the symptoms, or as many of the symptoms as you've kind of started with, because if they start reducing, you know, you wonder if there's something wrong. And so we'd always said that we would probably have a couple of early scans, and so at that point we did book an early scan. We actually had that scan at what I thought was going to be 7 weeks and 1 day. You can have an early scan at these private places from about 6 weeks, but what I didn't want to happen is if my dates had been the other way and I'd been, say, 3-4 days behind, and I'd gone for a scan at 6 weeks, they wouldn't necessarily have been able to see anything, or they might have seen a baby but not a heartbeat, and that would have done the opposite and definitely not alleviated my anxieties. So we waited until I was 7 and 1 by my dates, and we had a scan. We saw a little bean in there, and we saw the flickering of a heartbeat. I definitely cried. Just the relief of seeing that everything was, so far, everything was all right, and seeing the little flickering of the heartbeat. And what was really nice with the private scans, at least at this place, I went to Ultrasound Direct, I'll link them in the description below, but they send you all the photos and some video clips to your phone. By that point, the sickness was very, very bad. I was being sick multiple times every day, and I was stationary for most of the time. I would sleep as long as I could and then have to eat something before I even sat up. Then I'd probably be sick, and then I came downstairs and would sit on our sofa with the recline, so my feet were up and my head was down, and I basically lay there and tried to eat anything. It was taking me kind of 3-4 hours to get through a piece of toast, and yeah, it was really not good. So yeah, that was kind of 7 weeks. So we had this positive thing with the scan, but then obviously the symptoms were getting worse. So the sickness was pretty bad by that point, and I was also getting much more shortness of breath, which I still get, but less so now. And I was also getting incredibly dizzy. So I think probably to do with the very small amount that I was eating and actually keeping down. But yeah, the dizziness was no fun, because as soon as I stood up, I had to kind of grab onto something to stop myself falling over. But then at 8 weeks, or what by my dates was kind of 7.5 weeks, but I now know to be 8 weeks, I had my booking with my midwife. I actually know my midwife, which is really, really lovely. She is one of my colleagues, and that is so special. So yeah, she did our booking. So we had a booking appointment, went through all of my history and everything like that. She gave us some information, and it's quite nice being the other side of it. And of course, a lot of the information I kind of knew, but not from this perspective. So that was quite nice. It's also quite nice because obviously Matt's never had a baby before, and Matt's not a midwife, so it was useful for him, and I think quite exciting for him to experience that. And then between 8 weeks and 9 weeks, the sickness was getting worse, and my anxiety, I don't know what happened. I basically hit a point where I was so anxious that something was going to go wrong. I was crying most evenings, probably a mixture of my hormones as well, but I found it very, very difficult. And I think because we'd had one scan and the massive reassurance that I'd had from that scan, by that point I felt like I needed that again. So we booked another scan. We'd actually booked it for about 2.5 weeks from the previous scan anyway, because I knew that I wanted a couple, but we brought it forwards because I was really struggling at that point. And I will go into that a bit more, as I've said, in another video in the future. But yeah, so we brought forward the scan, and so it was 9 weeks, just before 9 weeks, we had our second scan, and we saw the baby, we saw the heartbeat, and it was amazing to see the changes actually, and to see how much the baby had grown in that time. At that point, by the scan, the baby was 2.1 centimeters from head to bottom, which is about that, which is quite big. So I was quite impressed by that actually. And then at that point, because my anxiety was so bad, it was only a couple of weeks until the 12-week scan, so we just thought we'll just have a scan once a week for the next couple of weeks, just to kind of keep the anxiety in check. And then once we'd had the 12-week scan, we said, right, that's it with the private scans. But the reassurance and the benefits that I felt to my mental health, it was invaluable. And I found that really reassuring. So particularly with the sickness as well, I think because I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere near enough nutrients and kind of goodness, and even just enough calories in any form, I felt quite concerned that that was going to impact on the baby, and that wasn't helping my anxiety either. So we had another scan around 10 weeks, and the baby had actually grown nearly 1 centimetre. So it was 3 centimetres at that point. And then we had another scan, I think it was about 8 or 9 days later, and the baby was 4.5 centimetres long, still with a nice strong heartbeat. And we started seeing some movements on these scans as well, which was really nice. So seeing the baby kind of wriggling around and moving its arms and its legs. So that was really, really lovely to see everything kind of developing and seeing the baby grow. All this time I was being very, very sick. I was off work. I couldn't function as a human being. I woke up, I dragged myself downstairs, and I was horizontal all day, and then I would go to bed. I was eating not a lot at all. I was drinking not a lot at all. I was prescribed quite a lot of anti-sickness medication at the time. It was really difficult. I know that lots of people have it very, very difficult, where they need kind of hospital admission and things, and that was my absolute, I definitely didn't want that. I'm really glad that I managed to avoid that. I think it probably wasn't too far away from where I was. And then I've got 11 and 3. I have written that I'd started feeling a little bit less sickness. So I was still being sick. I'm still being sick now, but the sickness was starting, I thought it was starting to reduce, and it did. Over the kind of following week to 10 days after that point, the number of times I was vomiting was reducing. There was time in the day where I didn't feel sick, which was huge, because the previous few weeks I genuinely at times felt like it was never going to stop and I was just going to be sick the whole pregnancy. So yeah, so that was definitely reducing. And then 12-week scan. So at what I now know to be 12 weeks and 1 day, we had the 12-week scan. And I wasn't surprised to find out that I was measuring kind of 4 days ahead of what my dates were, because at all the early scans, the baby had been measuring ahead as well. So it wasn't too unexpected at that point. So yeah, we were given our official due date, which I'm not going to be sharing, but our baby is due in August. And that's as much as I will be sharing, because lovely as you all are, I don't really want to have loads of messages around the due date saying, oh, is the baby here yet? So don't worry, we will share when the baby does arrive. But yes, baby's due in August. And since then, the nausea has definitely reduced. I'm still being sick, but it's kind of maybe once, twice, maybe 3 times a day, if that. Whereas before it was a hell of a lot more than that. and I am having long periods where I'm not feeling nauseous. I'm back at work, which has been really lovely for my brain, apart from anything else, just to be doing something else and to be doing something that I love. After we had the 12-week scan, we also told our family, so we didn't tell anyone other than work until after the 12-week scan. And obviously it's a bit of a contentious topic. Some people say, oh, you know, I'm going to tell as soon as we find out. We decided not to. We decided to wait until 12 weeks. And again, this is something I'll cover in a future video. But we wanted to wait until the 12-week point, until we felt like when we told people they could be excited without being cautious and excited, they could just be excited. Obviously that things happen after 12 weeks, God forbid, but we wanted to wait until the 12-week point before we told people. The evening after our 12-week scan, we told Matt's parents, and then the following day we told my parents, and we managed to fit in seeing everyone over the course of about 5 days. We saw most of the family in person, which was really lovely. And then there were a few people that we FaceTimed and that we called just to tell them. And then obviously we announced it online. And we've had so much love and support and lovely comments on both Instagram and also on my video last week. So thank you for that. It's made us feel very, very special. And it's made it feel a lot more real, which is really lovely. I think it being a little secret between the two of us was nice for a while, but obviously we knew from just before 4 weeks, so waiting over 8 weeks to tell anyone was torture. And actually now that people know, it's really exciting, and we feel like we can kind of talk to people about it and start planning things. So that's really lovely. So that is the first trimester roundup, as it were. I'm going to try and do a bit more of a vlog style update for the second trimester now that I'm not being so sick. We've got lots of things planned. We are going to the baby show in London next weekend. What else? We are also going to find out the gender of this baby. Not entirely sure when yet. We might wait until the 20-week scan, or we might have a private scan beforehand. So watch this space on that one. And then obviously we will have a 20-week scan. So yeah, I'm going to try and do a bit more of a vlog style update for the second trimester. But thank you again for all your lovely comments and all of your support. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and this kind of first trimester update. If you have liked this video, please do give it a like and subscribe, and I will see you very soon for the next one.